Evening, everyone. Welcome to the Daly City Library Board of Trustees meeting on Tuesday, September 19th, 2023. To watch the live telecast, you can go on Comcast channel 27, or you can go on youtube.com, Daly City Video Meetings, or www.dalycity.org agendas. Okay, what do I do from here now? Do I call the minutes or do I? Oh, yeah. Oh, the Pledge of Allegiance. Okay. Okay. Call to order, Pledge of Allegiance to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. May I have a roll call, please?
Certainly. President Pacheco,
Present.
Vice President Lex,
Present.
Trustee Goodman,
Present.
and Trustee Trunco,
Present.
and Trustee Angela Logarta is unable to be with us this evening.
Next is the approval of agenda, approval of minutes.
I move that the agenda be approved as presented.
Do I, is that?
I will second it.
There you go. That's what I meant to say. Can I get a second? Okay, so for any public comments? Okay, I'm sorry. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. And what do I say after that? Huh? Oh, any opposed? No? Okay. All right. I'm learning. I'll get it. Okay, so now we go to public comments. Okay, speakers are limited to 2 minutes unless modified by the library board president. The board cannot take action on any matter raised under this item. Okay, now for presentations. Report from the Daly City Public Library Associates, the DCPLA.
Good evening. Monica DeVincenzi, President of the Daly City Public Library Associates. Thank you for giving us a few moments to speak. I just wanted to bring the trustee and the board up to date on our most recent event that we had. It was the Art and Lit Fest held at Ceremony Center on Saturday, September 9th from 11 to 3 p.m. It was a fun-filled festival at Ceremony. We had dancing, poetry, interactive art, author talk, and over like 30 vendors, which was great. It was our second year hosting it there, second year of the event. We had a number of local sponsors, which was great. We're always looking for more and hope to have this event again next year. So keep us in mind as you meet with folks around the town. Fresca, a Bay Area native and radio personality from 96.5 KOIT and 102.9 KBLX, was our MC for the event, and she was very engaging, and she kept the action rolling and the crowd going with her enthusiasm, so that was great. In addition to the main stage where we had entertainment, the library held a bilingual story time, English, Spanish, and English Tagalog, for our youngest participants, so that was really great to see. So that was the Art and Lit Fest. The other thing that I wanted to bring up is we're getting ready to announce our 24-25 Daly City Youth Poet Laureate competition. It'll be our third one. The Youth Poet Laureate will receive a $2,500 honorarium, VIP status to represent Daly City at community events between May 2024 and May 2025, and publication of 5 of their poems in the National Youth Poet Laureate Annual Anthology by Penmanship Books. We're going to be announcing it soon, and their application and 5 original pieces will be due at the end of January in 2024. So that concludes my presentation. Happy to answer any questions.
Yeah, unfortunately, I wasn't there at the event. I heard it was, can you hear me? I heard it was really good. Was it really well attended? Were there a lot of spectators and
Yes.
a lot of participants?
Yes,
Okay.
I mean, it came and went as different groups got up on the stage, and but throughout the whole time, there was people walking around, checking out the vendors, listening to story time. Some had a bigger participation than others, and we had some of our local elected officials also attend, so that was great to see.
Yeah, the library had a table, and we were doing an activity making books, and it definitely came in waves, but it was quite
Yeah,
busy, hopping.
Yeah, I saw that part on Facebook. I saw you on there.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, no, it was a great day. A lot of effort went into it by our executive director and our event chair, Tricia DeVera, and their efforts definitely paid off. So,
There were a lot of really interesting, not booths, but tables
Yes.
at the event too. Different, different organizations, but also vendors.
yeah, interactive activities, DJs, storytelling, but arts and crafts. It was very cool. So, yeah.
Yeah, well, DCPLA deserves to be congratulated for a very successful event, not only in terms of bringing the community in and presenting the face of libraries, but also in terms of raising money to help support the libraries. I understand that it was also successful in a financial way.
Yes, I don't have the final numbers. We have our meeting this Thursday evening, so we'll find out the final after that. But yes, it's definitely a great event for us. So
Well, thank you very much for all the time and effort and hard work that went into that and rounding up supporters and people to participate. That's a very big task.
thank you. I'll definitely pass that on to the rest of the board. Greatly appreciate it.
Okay, thank you, Ms. DiVincenzi. It was a pleasure meeting you, and wonderful from hearing from you, too.
Thank you.
Okay, so next, Director's Report, Zip Books Program.
Yeah. So this is something new. Let me make sure I do this. Zip Books. So Daly City Public Library became a Zip Books library. This is a program that's been going on for quite a few years, and it continues to grow. It is funded by the state of California through the California State Library, and there's about 100 participating libraries now. And how it works is as the name implies, there's zip in this program, is to try and get a book that somebody's looking for to them immediately. Normally, through our regular process, if you're interested in a book that we don't own, that isn't in the PLS system at all, you can submit a purchase suggestion, and we review all those, and if they're something available and appropriate for the collection, we do try to make a real effort to add them. But once we've purchased that book, it goes through our purchasing process. It then has to be cataloged, and we put stickers on them and covers, and then we release it. And so it can take a little bit of a time. And so this is meant to address that. So basically, somebody requesting a book, it does get reviewed by staff, but it gets ordered, ideally same day, and sent with Amazon Prime directly to the patron at their home. And then they're able to keep the book for 30 days, and then they return it to the library. And then once it's returned to the library, the book is then processed, cataloged, and added to the collection, assuming that that would be appropriate for it. And as I mentioned, this program is really came about with a small grant from the California State Library. We had requested an amount, but there's a fixed line in the budget for this, and it was divvied up amongst all of the applying libraries. So we got $3,481.
Sweet.
Yeah. So it obviously it allows us to meet this particular need from our patrons. It also, very importantly, I think allows our collection to really be as patron focused. We will add items that we know people in this community want because they ask for it. So that's a really positive aspect of it. And then it also helps us with our budget, because we probably, if they had submitted a regular purchase suggestion, probably would have purchased it from our regular book budget. So that frees up those funds that we would have used from that book budget.
So, Jayla, did you say that there's someone who reviews the request right at the beginning to make sure that, it's something that, even though it reflects at least one person's interest, it will have more interest for the library in general.
Yeah, so there's eligibility rules. Some of those come from the grant. So most importantly, it's for books, audiobooks on CD or large print books. So it's not for DVDs or music. So it's a book, zip books. And then the item must really match our collection development policy. Because if we get something, even if it's, there's nothing wrong with the book, but it's something that doesn't fit into our collection, we're not going to have a collection of one, a sub-collection of one item.
Right.
It doesn't make a lot of sense. It also has to be something that not only do we not have yet, it's not something we've already ordered. So they're not bypassing the queue waiting for, say, a popular item. And then it also wouldn't, and goes with the collection development policy, wouldn't include textbooks, which is
Right.
because we just are not able to meet that need because of the cost of those items, and we don't add textbooks generally. And then of course out of print materials, we wouldn't be able to purchase those usually anyway. And we are limiting it to just our Daly City, Colma, and Broadmoor residents, just because the funding is limited there. And other libraries in PLS do offer it, not all of them, but I know Redwood City does. And it's also kind of limited to 2 items at a time. So if somebody is an avid user, they can place many requests, but at any given time, they can only have 2 outstanding items. So it just keeps it from being, because again, the limited funds, keeps it from being monopolized, those funds going to just one or a few people.
Jayla, I have a question regarding the zip books. You said you have to order it, right?
Yes.
Okay, so how long does that take? I mean, for you for the order to go through, for the customer to get it.
So it should just be a couple of days.
Oh, okay.
We are aiming the process for requesting it. They can fill out a form on our website, or they could talk to a staff person, and the staff person will help them fill out the form. And then the form generates an email, and that is checked every day that we're open, I should say. And the goal is to have it ordered same day if possible, or the next business day. And then assuming the item can be shipped with the Prime, it's going to be 2-day shipping.
2-day shipping, okay. Thank
Shayla,
you.
I have a couple questions. My first is, if you have a library card, say anywhere in San Mateo County, not referring to just this Zip Books program, can you make requests through other libraries? Is that how it works in general? Say you have a SF library card and they're participating? Or is it pretty much where you live?
For Zip Books, it's pretty much where you live.
Oh, because of the Amazon Prime and delivery?
Yeah. So we're not with this funding. We're not going to be sending things into other communities.
Okay,
just because it is so limited.
Okay, that eliminates one of my questions. My next question is, for books that are extremely popular, I know this because I just checked out one from you guys, and there's no books, and I'm in a book club, and on bestsellers list, and everywhere says we're ordering more. Does something like that apply to this, or does that go into its own category?
That's its own category. So when the request comes in, it gets reviewed. Usually it's going to be our cataloger, in fact, who's going to look at it. And if it is something that is on order, that is anywhere in the system that you could otherwise get, or that's on its way, then it would not be part of this.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay. That answers my questions.
Is there any age requirement for the requester?
No, actually. And I don't know that we've had any kids requesting items, but we have had families requesting kids' materials.
Okay.
Yeah, I kind of thought, well, it's going to maybe be, adults with very esoteric interests, or somebody writing a novel, doing research, that sort of thing. But it's so far it's been a real mix. So I think everyone at the library is really glad to be able to offer this again, because as I said, it's, we want our collection to reflect the interests of our community.
So how long has this Zip Book program been running in Daly City?
So well, I applied last fiscal year, but we didn't get informed until into August, and it took us a little bit because it's new to us, a little bit to launch. But it's brand new, I would say, a few weeks,
Okay.
hot off the press.
And it's already being used?
It's already being used immediately. And we're also being a little proactive. If somebody does go ahead and fill out our purchase suggestion form and it seems like something that might be suitable, we do reach out and ask them if they'd like to do this instead. Yeah. So I'm sure we'll apply again next year.
Chayla, this just reminded me, I have one more question. As far as returning the book, is it the same policy in general that you get 3 or 4 renewals of however 3 weeks each, and that, or is it more like the Lucky Day books that it comes from Amazon? You have like your 3-week checkout and then you got to return?
It's giving 30 days to give a little bit of leeway on either side of it.
Got it.
And then I think before the meeting we were talking about this because it's just a book and there's no markings that would indicate or no covering, nothing that would scream this is a library book. We want to make sure when it comes back that we don't mistake it for a donation.
Oh, like my
Yeah.
current problem. Yeah, understood.
So we do have some special instructions for users of the system to ensure that it gets credited back and so that we know that they have returned it.
Good to know.
That's the ZipBooks program.
So that's it for the ZipBooks program. Okay, let us proceed now to the fourth item, which is the summer learning 2023.
So just a quick update because it's already September. It's like so long ago. Summer learning. So we had a very successful summer learning thing. For anyone who's new, this is an annual program the library does. It is there's multiple components, but the biggest one is we're signing kids up to read during the summer, and so they get a log and they can track their reading, and it's just meant to encourage reading for pleasure, which is a really important component to creating a lifelong reader. And so we had 4,917 participants, and we gave out books. We gave out books at all of our libraries, of course, and we gave out books at every school in Daly City and Colma, and we gave out books at any community events that we were invited to do outreach at. So, and those books are it's just a wide assortment of children's paperback books. We also conducted a large number of programs so that we had something pretty much every day going on at one of the libraries. This program is something that our youth services librarian, Sarah, does, and the vast majority of the work falls on her. She was running around everywhere, but we had a really lovely selection of programs. We had about 9 different outside performers come in, professionals. So, and she really always picks out, a variety. So we had, some fun things, a magician, somebody who brings in trained birds, but also Cello Joe, which is like a more, a musical program to really broaden people's horizons. Extreme Magic, or Science Magic, which is kind of a STEM thing. The Bay Area Discovery Museum, again, a STEM thing. There was a Rhythmology, which was at the Ceremony Library. It was in the community room, and it just shook the building. It was a really interesting and very engaging event. So lots and lots of events, 123 in total, almost all of those staff-led, staff-created, with over 4,500 attendees. And then I mentioned also the outreach programs. They went to a large, all of the schools and lots of community events during the summer, 22 in all. Or 22 community events and then 20 school visits in May and June. She coordinates usually with the librarians at the schools to visit at a time when the kids will be able to come. Because a big part of this is encouraging the kids to pick a book they want to read. As I mentioned, it's about reading for pleasure. And then we also have a teen volunteer program during the summer. This is something that, backed by popular demand, there's always teens looking for something productive to do in the summer. And so of varying levels of helpfulness, but it's always good to involve teens who might not, find, the magician to be, the thing that they want to do, but they can come help set up chairs and do cleanup and things like that. So, and I have a few pictures. You can see some of the happy kids that participated. we had a lot of hands-on kind of craft activities. So there you can
Yeah,
see
looks like they had fun.
They did some sewing. It was a lot of fun. They made slime. You cannot go wrong with slime. There's
No,
the
you can't.
rhythmology I mentioned. And then the top one is outreach at a school. So giving out books to kids at a school.
Oh, I thought that was cafeteria at first.
It's actually, yes, it's where they eat as well. And again, that's what we try and
Right.
go during like a meal break or a time
Right.
when they are, not in class. So.
Shayla, how are the numbers relative to past years? About the same, or do we see an increase in numbers or a little dip this year?
Well, the pandemic really distorted everything. So I actually I didn't look at them side by side with last year's numbers. It felt, I know it's not very scientific, but it felt comparable.
And just one other question. Were the activities distributed to the various branches more or less in line with the amount of, what shall I say, the number of activities that would occur during the year, especially with our smaller libraries?
So she actually scheduled them to be the same day of the week at each so people, I think it makes it easier for parents, I think, if they know that on Tuesdays is when ceremonies Tuesday afternoon is going to be ceremonies program. So they all had roughly the same number of programs. Yeah. And I will say that is something I think that's always the case, but I really noted it this year. Some of the programs, and it's not necessarily because it's like more popular like slime, we'd have 60 people trying to get into the community room, which it's not supposed to hold 60 people, and then other times it would be much more modest attendance. And I think it's just people have a lot going on during the summer, and it's just maybe this is a week a lot of people went on vacation. And then there is also, obviously the performers do have a big draw, but there's a lot of factors, many of them unknown to me, that factor into attendance. But yeah, as you can expect, there was maybe less attendance at some of the quieter libraries. And that is why actually, like staff at Bayshore, for example, works so hard to try and engage the kids that are involved in the recreation or after school programs there, so that we can draw them in.
Right. Okay, thank you.
Okay, so on to the next agenda, number 5. It's the California Humanities Library Innovation Grant, Taste of the Top of the Hill, a community culinary gathering at John Daly Library.
Yeah, so
Okay, what's
this
that
was
about?
an
Sounds
exciting
exciting.
thing. It is. So this is all staff at John Daly. It's a grant, as you said, from Cal Humanities, made possible with funding from a bunch of other places, including the National Endowment for the Humanities and probably the state of California. And it's it's around food. It's meant to be something that engages immigrant communities and something a little bit out of the ordinary, something we couldn't otherwise do without $5,500 that we didn't otherwise have. So this is what staff planned and they're currently working on making successful. So the biggest component of it is they're having these two days of food tasting, October 11th and November 15th in the evening. They are working to connect with the various restaurants that are right around John Daly Library. It's the top of the hill. There's so many restaurants there, and they're looking to have a real diverse array of foods so that people can kind of connect with each other and learn about culture through the very best way to do that, eating.
Right.
So This hasn't quite been printed yet. Hopefully it's pretty settled on. But basically, they're going to have a brochure to give out to invite people to it. And as I mentioned, there's those food tasting events, which is kind of the main portion of the program. But there's also snacks and stories, and they actually had their very first one September 13th, which was the Spanish and English story time with Elizabeth Gomez. They're all with special bilingual presenters. That was part of Welcoming Week, and it was very well attended. I have a couple pictures on the next screen. But upcoming tomorrow, there's going to be an Arabic English one, there's a Cantonese English one, Mandarin English, and then a Tagalog English one. And you can see that they still need to fill in that last part. It's like, you got to send me the draft. So, but you get the gist of it. It's all about the, what is around the top of the hill neighborhoods. And here's I promised some photos from the English Spanish story time with the author Elizabeth Gomez. And she read the ABC El Salvador, and then the librarian ran out and got pupusas to share with the participants. So it was very well attended. You can't really tell from the photo. 47 people, and they're looking forward to all the other snacks and stories, as well as, of course, the main events. And we hope you will join us.
Okay.
Yeah. So this is in the early stages, this grant. So they've done most of the planning, but there's obviously still working on getting participating libraries or participating restaurants. Excuse me.
So the brochure is not published yet?
No, I just wanted to show it to you, so I said send me a draft.
No, that's great. Would it be possible for you to send us a copy of the draft? So we've got that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I believe it's very close. They were waiting on one piece of information, and then part of the grant is going to pay for actual printing, so they're going to send it out for printing as well.
Great.
Yeah. No, very, very innovative. I mean, it is an innovation grant, and very impressed with the staff. Any questions about it? No.
I mean, I'll just make a comment. I mean, I think it's a great way to reach out to the community. I mean, an event like that, serving food and socializing, that really gives a lot of our community members, some kind of assurance that, libraries are there and we care for them. So, yeah.
Yeah, I also thought it's a great opportunity to support the businesses in the neighborhood.
Right.
The library is often asking for donations, so we are not. We have money to pay. So thank you to Cal Humanities.
Yeah, because many of those businesses can use some extra advertisement, I mean, to let the community know that they're there. Because you say one restaurant, they'll go, I never knew that was there.
Well, and they'll be at the event to talk about the food, the meaning of the food, and also about their business.
Yeah, because all the residents, all they know on top of the hill is the Filipino food place. That's about it, But there's more there that I found, and I was like, oh, okay, I didn't know that.
There's so many restaurants
There
in that
are.
neighborhood. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So we go to the next agenda then. Okay, so 6 on the agenda, back to school programs and services.
So I put this on the agenda because I had a note that the board had asked about this at our last meeting. Obviously, back to school is a busy time for libraries. It's a quick transition from the end of summer, because summer is quite the undertaking and really is our high period. But we jump right in. Like all libraries, we do class visits and school visits. The class visits, of course, are classes come to the library. Depending on the age, if it's very young children, they'll usually staff will provide a story time for them, and maybe an activity, as well as, of course, an orientation to the library, a tour, and then depending on what's been prearranged, they can get library cards, or if they have cards, they can check out books, if that makes sense. A big determining factor with these visits, of course, is getting to and from the library. So, for instance, thus far, we had a couple of third grade classes from Skyline Elementary, and we get regular kindergarten visits, actually once a month, from Junipero Serra, which actually is actually in South San Francisco School District, I think, but is right there next to Ceremony Library. And so that's a big part of what I think makes that appealing to a teacher, is that they can walk with their students.
Right, and
If you have to get into a vehicle, it's a whole other can of worms. And then the school visits are where, our staff would visit, go out to the schools, visit a classroom, or an assembly or something like that. And that's something we've always done by invitation, of course. And I know that Sarah has made some visits to a preschool, Izzy, at Ceremony, and our librarian up at John Daly makes regular visits to the Tiny Tots down at Westlake Park. But they visit other libraries or other schools as well, upon invitation. And then I mentioned the library cards, which we had what was being branded the Student Success Initiative. I think it's had a few different names since then, but basically just trying to work through the schools to issue cards to students. We did, probably 10 years ago, make a really, what I think is a big improvement to accessibility for students, in that teens would be able to apply for and get a card without their parents, because that was just a continuing barrier for a lot of students. So they get themselves to the library, and now they can get themselves a card. But for younger kids, that's not so much the case. But if they are coming to the library, or we're going to visit them, and there's an interest, we like to try and get cards to them. There was SB 321. Senator Ashby was trying to add some state funding for trying to encourage those sorts of partnerships statewide. So this is something that's of great interest, I think, to the library profession as a whole, and then also obviously to our elected officials. And it did not get funded, so but we will continue to do it. And in fact, we just do them manually, and we're happy to do it. We're happy to get cards for kids, and if we're bringing them, they all go into a little envelope with a little welcome bookmark, kind of explaining what you can find. And then also with the beginning of school, you start to see, the after school hang out at the library, as it were. It varies year to year, depending, I think, on what other options kids have, but they're always welcome. I know at the libraries that are very near a lot of schools, Westlake, for example, near a lot of middle schools, where the kids are at that age where they have some independence, and they come and spend time at the libraries, and we try and come up with ways to keep them engaged. A lot of them will sit and quietly do homework, but some of them, if they don't really have anything to do, they may get bored and become disruptive. Channel the energies. And then also for students, of course, is we have our online resources. I think this is something that has been declining in use for quite a while now. But we still be sure to offer it. I think I talked about the homework help, which is the Brain Fuse. Mm-hmm. And the best thing about that, this is a free online tutoring. It's available in different languages. It's for all the, it's an excellent service. It's through a private company, but the state of California received funding to subscribe on behalf of all of the state's public libraries. So we're all able to offer that to our students, which is nice. So we've been promoting that. It was not initially getting a lot of use. I find with these things too, it takes a while to for people to realize they're there and adopt them. And as with any student resources, they use them at the last minute when they absolutely need them. They're not they're not used day-to-day necessarily. And then we also have research databases. Currently what we offer, it's all of PLS has the same databases. They're from EBSCO, classic databases. Usage is not high with those either, but if you have to do research, that's what these are made for. And so you can get articles from journals and magazines, newspapers, and some reference sources as well. And then we also, I think I've talked about Sora. So we use Overdrive as our main platform for ebooks, e-audio, e-magazines, e-comic books, your e-everything. And the Overdrive has a kind of a separate app, I guess is what it has. It has a separate app called Sora, which is specifically for schools. And the advantage of Sora is it does not cost a school anything. And what it does is we've signed an agreement which allows the school districts in our community to use Sora, offer it to their students. The students can authenticate as a student. They don't need a library card at all. So if they've just for whatever reason haven't been able to get one, they can go through Sora and access all of the age-appropriate things that we have, e-books and e-audio and e-magazines and e-comic books that we have in our collection. So the Jefferson Elementary School District has been, kids in that district have been using it. It's available in the other districts, but I'm not seeing a lot of use. So we might need to promote. Now, it may be also that they all have library cards, because we do try and get them all library cards, and that they're just using Overdrive. But we can get Sora-specific statistics and see those patterns. So those are the big things that are kind of offered to students as they go back to school.
Okay, yeah, well, that's good. I mean, the busier they are, the more they'll be less destructive out there. So.
Yeah.
Okay, so now we head to trustees report.
Can I?
Oh, I'm sorry, go ahead. Sorry.
Ask a question. At a previous meeting, Chayla, you talked about having charging stations and I think tablets in the 4 branches. And I was wondering, at that point, we hadn't gotten all of the equipment in or all of the tablets in. Are they in now? Are they, if I see an empty charging station, does that mean they're all in good hands, or that we haven't gotten them yet?
We have received them. They are in process of getting configured still. We have one person who has several jobs that does IT for us, and so it's just going slow. It's one at a time. It's on the list, though. Definitely, we need to step that up. And at the end of it, we will have. They're actually just full laptops, and there will be there's a station, a kiosk at John Daly Library from a DCPLA grant. Thank you. And then the recent ones that are still a work in progress would be at Bayshore and Westlake, and that's ARPA funded. And then we still haven't found a way to fund one for ceremony. So that's something we'll work on.
Okay.
It's quite a substantial investment.
Yeah.
But yes, no, sorry about that. It is in process, and we do want to just get that finished.
Yeah, I'm sure it is time consuming. Thank you.
Yeah, any other questions or comments? Okay, none. Okay, so trustees report. Potential collaboration with Chamber of Commerce and DCPLA.
Well, I'd be happy to report on that, since I was at a meeting with Tricia DeVera, Chayla, and Felicia Leong she's the executive director of the Daly City Colma Chamber of Commerce, to discuss potential ways to collaborate between the Chamber and DCPLA and the Board of Trustees and the libraries in general. It was we spent about an hour and a half, so it was a rich discussion, talking about the mutual benefits, the ways we could help each other. The Chamber has a pretty good, well, I won't say pretty good, to me, it's pretty impressive, pretty darned impressive, social media presence and platform. I know that they've either taken the initiative or have cooperated with DCPLA by showcasing the events. The Arts and Lit Fest was on the Chamber of Commerce website, for example, and I've seen other things as well. So we're already getting that support and that interaction. We talked about mutual participation in activities. I know that Tricia was planning to go to the social mixer that the chamber had, I think last week on Thursday, if I remember correctly, with Victoria from DCPLA. And, I'm hoping to get to some of those activities myself. And it would be another, opportunity for members of the board to interact with people in the business community and the Chamber of Commerce at those activities, which we're invited to participate in. And on top of that, Felicia made a commitment to donate $400 to DCPLA. So that was totally unexpected. We were not going out with our hands, asking for a donation, but she volunteered that, and I'm sure it was very much appreciated by DCPLA, and I was certainly impressed, and thought that was a great showing of support. And I'd be happy to answer any questions. Chayla was there as well, so Chayla, do you have anything to add?
No, that I think about covered it.
Okay.
It was a wide-ranging discussion, but it was, you get started.
Right.
Any other,
How often do you plan to have these things take place? Like discussions with the other groups?
At this point, we don't have a committee to formally interact with the Chamber of Commerce, nor do they have a member of their board or any other member of the chamber that would formally interact with us. Like Monica is here tonight representing DCPLA.
Sure.
That kind of relationship has not been established. So at this point, it's more of getting to know each other, I would say, through interacting in the activities that one or the other might sponsor, one or the
Got
the
it.
three of us. And that's why I was, suggesting that board members, if they have the time, might go to some of the chamber activities, get to meet people, talk a little bit about the fact that we're on the board. We are totally dependent on community support through our city council, and we appreciate everything that the chamber does to help with the tax base and provide support, moral and otherwise, to our libraries.
any other comments or questions? No. Okay, so now we go to announcements and communications.
I had just a couple of items.
Okay, sure.
One, you might have noticed it's smoky out.
Yeah.
And if you were here, you might recall also that we were able to secure some very large, high capacity air cleaners through the county of San Mateo, and so those have been deployed in the libraries to make them kind of respite centers
very
for
good.
smoke.
Very good.
I'm told it's working well. I was not there, but so yeah, it's nice to have those. And then also, I'm anticipating on Monday's council meeting that they will be taking a look at reorganizing the Department of Library and Recreation Services, just from an administrative perspective, possibly restoring it into two separate departments.
Oh, okay.
I will be on vacation, so I won't be there, but I will definitely watch it after the fact.
YouTube. No.
Yes, exactly, YouTube. So just something to be aware of.
Okay. Anything else on that? Okay, so now we go on to agenda building for the next meeting. Okay, I don't want to sound like I'm jumping the gun here, but with all the talk on social media and on the news regarding, COVID might be coming back and, masking up, and they're talking about shutting down and quarantining again. Now, I know we do get affected by that, libraries. So maybe we should come up with some kind of what strategies maybe on that, or precautions. I mean, if this does go into effect, hopefully not. But it's just now what I'm seeing in around places is now like if you go to the credit unions, they have signs up there. We please welcome that you wear a mask in here. And now the fear is coming around. So libraries, that's a place where a lot of people go, and you don't want to cause some kind of panic there. I mean, hopefully I'm not causing one right now, but I'm just saying, just precautionary wise.
So we still do have quite a number of things in place, like the glass on the front counters, on the service counters, and we do provide, if somebody comes in and they're interested, we can provide them with a mask.
Okay.
We are, we're an office of the city of Daly City, and we're just following, the state health department guidelines. So, mask or no mask? Kindness is key.
Right.
So that's kind of how we're approaching it. I think I imagine that the air filters probably are helping with more than just the smoke. But yeah,
Right.
I don't think unilaterally, separately, the library would be implementing any particular precautions. But
Okay.
absolutely, all of the city's policies, would align if there were new orders from the health department.
Right. Okay. That was just my concern on that when I was hearing a lot of it, and it's kind of stirring up a bit here.
And also, as employers, of course, as an employer, the city, there's Cal OSHA rules about containment if there's an exposure, people are notified, that sort of thing.
Okay. That's what I just wanted to bring up on the next meeting if that does go down. Go ahead, Bill.
Shayla, when you talked about the air filters, it also made me wonder whether or not we have AEDs in the libraries, and do we have Narcan available in our libraries?
So we do have AEDs in all of our libraries, and in fact, all of our city facilities. That's what the city manager implemented not long ago, in fact, along with training for all the staff as well.
Okay.
We do not have Narcan at this time. I know that there's not been specific discussion related to the library, but wider discussion at the state level for libraries. But we do not at this time have Narcan.
All right. Thank you.
Okay. Any other items you'd like to put on the next agenda from my fellow trustees here? Okay, having none, I guess looks like we're going to adjourn the meeting.
All right.
So,
I move that,
go ahead.
that we adjourn.
You gonna get a second on that?
I will second that.
Okay, all in favor?
I
Okay, so now I adjourn the meeting. Okay, so the meeting for Tuesday, September 19th, 2023 is now adjourned. Hey, I get to do that for fun.